All right. Here's a video for you. The This is about Russia and Ukraine and U.S. mainly. Now, if you watch the news, the regular news, you will find like ABC and stuff like that. It's just it's like theater. They're putting on shows. They're reading from teleprompters, and it's all acting. And the goal is one of the goals is to for the audience to actually end up with the viewpoint that the news channel is trying to get them to have. Now, someone could blame the news and say the news channel. Well, when I say the news channel, they're told what to do from above. You see, so it's all put together. You know, it's all we got. You see, most, if not all, of the major countries of the world are in debt, and they owe money to I think a certain number of groups. And Russia would not have been able to attack Ukraine without their permission. Because if they did not approve of it, they could have crushed Russia with because of the debt Russia has. And the United States, what it all is, it seems, is that this is a way to create money out of nowhere and keep the world going for a while. Now, what do I mean by that? Is that the money, the United States, for example, it needs money created out of nowhere and pumped into the system to keep its economy from collapsing, because it's based upon every dollar, as you know, when it's borrowed, when it's paid back, it has to be paid. Well, let's put it this way: when every dollar that is created in the United States, it has to be paid back with interest. Okay, so you're never going to pay the interest back because you don't never. You see, like a dollar is created, and then you have to pay back the dollar, and then the interest on top of the dollar. That's how the United States government does it. They borrow the money. From what I understand, is they contact, I think it's the Federal Reserve. They say, we'd like to have a dollar. The Federal Reserve says, okay, you can have a dollar. So the U.S. Gets this dollar, from what I understand, and they have to pay back interest to the Federal Reserve. That's what I get out of it. If I'm wrong, I'm wrong, but I don't think so. But the United States U.S. Mint actually creates the dollar. Okay, if they print it, you see, they're allowed to. It gets so bad that President Kennedy, he wanted to do away with that. He wanted to get rid of it entirely and just say the United States, if they want to create a dollar, they don't have to borrow the money to create it. They just create it. Well, he got you know what happened to him? He got a bullet in the head. And then, the guy took over. He stopped. He didn't continue any activity with what Kennedy wanted to do. Let's put it that way. I guess he liked his head. So, needless to say, that's what's going on, from what I understand. The average guy gets screwed over, as you know. The average Ukrainian, a lot of them don't understand probably what's going on either. They listen to what they are told and don't probably have a bigger view of what's going on. So, and the news, as you see, anybody can listen to it. They're just trying to make Russia look like it's failing. and all these things. Well, in war, you modify plans. And on top of that, if anybody knows anything about the history, is that they don't want to, Russia doesn't really want to destroy Ukraine because they have a long history together, okay? And the guy named Khrushchev, I guess, used to be in charge of Russia many years ago. When he used to go down to Ukraine and hang out and have drinking parties or whatever with the guy in charge of Ukraine at the time. So it's kind of like they like to still kind of like get along or be kind of considered kind of like friends, I guess, because Russia could actually take out Kiev if it wanted to very easily. The soldiers there are not, the Ukrainian soldiers are not making Russia run. The Russian troops. Oh no, it's because the Russian troops are told, and they probably don't want to. They don't want to just slaughter whoever's there. They're like, So I guess it was not worth taking Kiev at the time. But the eastern part of of Ukraine, excuse me, I think it wants to, the people generally are more likely to support Russia. So Russia probably has a lot more ability to handle that there. So that's probably what they're doing. And you probably heard about the Mariupol steel plant. What it comes down to is that the civilians there are being used as human shields. If you take out if the civilians are allowed to leave, if they're allowed to leave by the people inside of the steel plant, if they were allowed to leave, there would be only the fighters there, you see, and the steel plant would be annihilated. So they used human shields, just like in what was it, Germany at the time during World War II. The German soldiers would put weapons on the third floor of an apartment building, okay? But forced the civilians to stay in the second and first floor. So when the Russian troops back then, they didn't want to, I guess they did, if I understand, they didn't want to fire at the third level at the apartment building because they would kill the people on the second and first floor. So the Germans would do that. And this is what's going on here, with Ukraine. If it wasn't for the... they're trying to, and on top of that, as you know, the longer the war goes, the more money that is created out of nowhere to keep the sucker going, to keep the money pumped into the economy of the United States in particular. And I love this. I just totally love this. You've probably heard about they talk about the paying down the national debt. There's maybe I'm wrong about this, but there's a thing called a deficit, okay? It means a shortcoming of money. If you're referring to money, it means shortcoming, okay, of money. Well, I think what they're referring to, Biden's talking about, or somebody said, 1.5 trillion. They're going to they're going to reduce the deficit by 1.5 trillion. If I am correct about this, it means, and let's put it this way. The government is spending a lot more than it actually gets in, okay? So they're going to reduce the amount, from what I understand, the amount by 1.5, at least they're saying they're going to. They're going to reduce the amount they're spending by 1.5 trillion, okay? But they're still going to spend more than they're getting in. So they're just not going to, that's what they're saying. By the way, they're probably not going to do this, by the way. And just look at the national debt clock. You just type it in a Google search or whatever search and type in national debt clock, U.S. debt clock. Look at it. Is it reducing? Do you see that they're actually reducing the national debt? But on the news, they'll say plans for reduce the national debt. So they know people are watching don't know what the word deficit means. So but they frankly said that reduce the national debt. I heard a reporter say that on that ABC News, right? So from what I can see here is they're lying. They're lying, and they know it. It's all a bunch of manipulation of words. I don't know how they can actually sit there and report all this BS. Now there's a guy that you might want to listen to. He's on YouTube. You might find it at least amusing. There's a couple of them. There's a couple of them actually. If you go to YouTube and you type in Gregory Mannarino, that's Gregory Mannarino. Okay, he's a guy who does stuff with stocks and stuff like that. You should subscribe to him, listen to some of his videos. Okay, he might provide a viewpoint that you might agree with, or at least some of the stuff that you might agree with. There's an entertaining one, but not always entertaining because of some of the bad stuff that is reported. There's a guy on there, YouTube. He goes by his name there on YouTube is Dabu, I think 77 or Dabu 777. You just type the number 7. You don't type out the word. You don't type out the word. You just put the Dabu 77 or Dabu 777. Now, how do you spell Dabu? I don't know how I got this. It's DAHBOO. Then you put 77 or you put 777. I think he has 2 channels. So there's some things you might be interested in. Now, if you want to hear some funny news, sometimes you can just go to Gerald. What is it called? The Trends Journal on YouTube. Okay, Trends Journal, and watch the video on that. There's a guy named Gerald Slente. I don't necessarily agree with everything he says or whatever, but he just goes off, and it might be interesting to watch, at least entertaining. All right, so I just wanted to put a video out there because there's a lot of things that are the news. There's an old statement: if you control the people's thoughts, and if you are successful with controlling people's thoughts, you can at least influence their behavior. Some people say if you are successful with thought control, you can be successful with behavioral control. Okay, so the media is being used by their puppet masters to try to shape the viewpoints by providing false information and omitting facts and stuff like that, in order to provide to the audience a invalid understanding of what is going on, and then the person either gets sick of it, doesn't watch it at all because it just drags on and on. Or if he does watch it, he believes things that are not true and has viewpoints that are not true. The war is supposed to drag on and on, by the way. So people, who don't want to watch it, that's part of the effect, you see. That way, as long as the government's just taking care of it, I don't have to freaking deal with it. and they just pump more money, create more money out of nowhere, and spend it and give it to weapons manufacturing companies and etc., so they can pump money into the economy. Until later on, when they decide, if they are successful, where they will crash where the economy will tank. Because as you know, it never really did recover from since 2008. The money's been being pumped into the system since, trillions of dollars to keep it going, and there's got to be more excuses to pump more money in. So hell, we got COVID was a good excuse to pump it in, and Ukraine Russia thing is a good way to pump it in, and they probably have other reasons in the future, maybe. Um, and So I guess that's about it. I don't want to keep this video longer, but there's some more things to say. Um, so I guess one just has to look at the situation at hand and try to make a smart decision with it at the time. And it's good to understand that. See, we have a planet. Okay, I'm gonna go say some more. We have a planet. It's called Earth. Okay, and we have many countries on it, but we have those who are big time into controlling. Okay, so you have these people who are into this, probably those behind the big banks of the world and who knows what else. They have gotten major countries into major debt, so that these countries are not allowed to act politically without the controllers' permission. So, and they've gotten into really massive debt. United States government, federal government, is a freaking complete, seemingly almost complete. Especially, it's such a puppet. It's such a puppet. Congress, right now, people in the White House it's just unbelievable. Um, uh, the truth about Russia and Ukraine has been practically almost completely ignored. And if it wasn't for the United States and the the North Atlantic Treaty Organization, Russia probably would never have went to Ukraine. But it's North Atlantic Treaty Organization, as you know, it's the where you have a number of countries, including the United States. If one of these countries were attacked, the other ones would join in and into the battle. You see that, so any members of this NATO, that's their agreement, and they're not supposed to have went any further east, and they went a lot more further east. And Russia had an agreement that that with NATO, at least the United States, that NATO wouldn't go east, and NATO violated it, and so Russia had got sick of things going right on their border and Russia said, "Hell, we have enough. We had enough." So they, some more information beyond that, but they had enough, so they went in. So they got provoked. So and the Ukrainian people a lot of them didn't understand, especially in the western part of Ukraine. From what I understand, they believed what they were been watching on TV, not seeing really the facts of things. So I feel sorry for them, but that's what could be the case, and a lot of needless death, really. And in case you don't know, President Zelensky, this moron of Ukraine, his job before all this, from before he became the president of Ukraine, he was a comedian. Okay, I guess from what I understand, he was in a comedy show, and he played a role of the president of Ukraine. Okay, he was a comedian. Okay, in a TV show, and he was a comic. Okay, so the people who control the world to an extent, they probably thought it'd be funny. Just let's put this moron into this puppet. It's a big joke, man. I don't know how anybody respects. If anybody understands this, how can they even? This guy, I don't want to talk about him too much. I shouldn't. I just don't. I don't particularly. It's not a. It's just. It's just. It's retarded. Okay, it's really bad. All right, that's enough.